Watching the Kentucky Derby or the Preakness, there are a lot of international horse owners and therefore international horses actually competing in those high-level equestrian events. So every time those horses come into the United States, they actually have to be held in quarantine. And we have a facility on the East Coast in Miami and in New York. So what our study was trying to determine was if there was enough need for a third equestrian quarantine facility sort of in the mid-Atlantic. With races in New York and Baltimore and Kentucky, it seemed like Loudoun County and Northern Virginia was positioned well for a third quarantine facility. Any animals traveling internationally have to be quarantined for an amount of time. And the amount of time that the animal has to be quarantined for depends on that specific animal and the actual sex of the animal. So it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months that an animal would actually have to be held in quarantine, either coming to the United States or leaving the United States. We went into it not exactly sure if it would land in Loudoun County or if it would land in Fauquier County. But like I said, both counties serve to benefit economically, regardless of where the facility actually lands. But throughout the study, it became very apparent in talking to other operators of other animal quarantine facilities around the United States that as close to airport property as the facility could get, the better. This study looked just at horses as sort of a baseline measure to determine if a quarantine facility was feasible. And we did find out that an equestrian quarantine facility was feasible at Dulles Airport. And the great thing about the study is all of the other breeds of livestock and domestic pets are just sort of an icing on the cake to the facility. Every time we ship cattle out or ship it in to a foreign country, again, it has to be quarantined. And there's a relatively large market for shipping cattle in and out of the country and also domestic pets. So anyone who's moving from the United States to another country or moving back, their domestic pets also have to be quarantined. That piece of that domestic market that we think we can target in Northern Virginia is military deployments. And anyone who's being deployed from the United States or back to the United States and they're traveling with their family pets, a facility at Dulles would be prime location so that somebody doesn't have to drive to Miami to pick up their family pet. This feasibility study was, is there a business case for bringing a quarantine facility to Dulles Airport? Our intention would be for the private sector to build it, operate it, run it. We actually are currently talking to 3 different private sector developers that are interested in the project. We have a private sector desire and understanding of a quarantine facility. So what we need is private sector investment, which we're actually seeing interest building and operating a quarantine facility at Dulles. Dulles benefits too because they're interested in increasing cargo, and transportation of livestock and domestic pet is cargo. So the airport benefits, Loudoun County and Fauquier County benefit because from our perspective, it actually increases our ability to attract high-level equestrian shows and events. The next step is really that one of our private sector entities that's interested will actually submit a proposal to Dulles Airport to build a quarantine facility.